We're living an extreme day.
And that both microevolution and macroevolution have been directly observed. Evolution is a fact.
Peer review is not some giant circle jerk. The scientists today are not looking to give each other high fives. Science is all about finding explanations for the naturally occurring phenomena of the world. Science is not some secret cabal trying to keep God out of the equation. Many of today's scientists are in fact religious. They manage to put their faith aside for intellectual integrity, for that is what science is about. Your name, your lineage, how will you be remembered? That is what drives scientists to look for the next big cure or invent the first true nano machine. We who are agnostic and atheists alike do not scoff at fundamentalists because of their religion. We snicker at the fact when shown overwhelming testifiable evidence you turn a blind eye, turning off the first gifts God gave us, reason, logic, and wisdom. The other things you mentioned that were peer-reviewed, that were later proven to be wrong, the flat earth, the weakness of the female sex, the inferiority of the blacks, these were peer-reviewed, disproven again and again, but the times these were going through peer review, the church backed each and every single one of them. It was science that went, wait, that's wrong, not the church. Let us go back to the reason, logic, and wisdom for a minute. Which of these does dogmatic following of any religion give us? Does it truly give us reason? When fundamentalists are given a problem, they can just go, God did it, and leave it at that. How about logic? With the logic fallacies perpetrated like Pascal's wager often spouted by the modern church, well, that knocks theists out of the intellectual arena. Wisdom is in of itself the sum of our experiences. Most are wise about many different subjects and not others. You bring up controlling of terms. While the terms in science can seem vague to the layman like you and I, they are very specific. The term theory to you may mean one thing. In the intellectual arena, it means something completely different. Science does not control the terms nearly as well as religion. Who on a dime can change the meaning or just say, oh, you're just misinterpreting it? This is control. At one time, the same passages that endorse and empowered slavery are the exact same ones that condone it today. Was that because they changed or you interpreted it differently? No, it was actually economics that got rid of the need for an undereducated workforce. Big gaping holes, really. What are those holes? Remember, Bob, when you look at for fossils, we are in fact not getting all the story. We only find the fossils that were preserved for whatever reason. While science may momentarily overreact to findings, I can see that. I would be a fool not to. I really would. Science also disproves these theories and hoaxes through the process of peer review. Once disproven, a hoax is forgotten unless brought up for snickers and giggles at a dinner party. What does fundamentalists do? They continue to bring up the hoax like it is some new phenomenon, overlooking the glaring evidence to the contrary. Can you name one hoax that fundamentalists was able to prove? I mean, really prove, not scoff out of hand. If you accuse those of the scientific arena of doing that to you, well, you started it and continue to do it. The theory you described here about the island is in fact evolution. That those birds on this remote island become distinctly different than its cousins not on the island. This is evolution pure and simple. If given enough time, those birds would in fact evolve to a state that could no longer mate with those cousins on the mainland. By your video you say that is where the facts and evidence stops. It doesn't. Why did they evolve differently? If this remote island had similar environmental concerns as the mainland, then they should evolve similarly. They don't. Why is that? Because evolution is what the individual brings to a genetic table for its. You then go on to talk about controlling media and it being time-tested, that science controls the media. After the overhype of IDA and the lack of interest in actual science like Dr. Sutherland's work into abiogenesis, IDA was an interesting discovery that science is already leaving in the dust. Yet people like yourself love to keep bringing it up because the reporter way overhyped it. You also mentioned about pumping disinformation into the minds of people. I put forth fundamentalists do this time and time again, not scientists. Sciences, like I said, are all about integrity. To tell the truth, Brock. I, as a poker player, would trust a poker player more than I trust a fundamentalist, God-fearing man. You know, I find it funny the things you say science does. Saying, no, is exactly what fundamentalists say when posed with questions. The scientists will give you suggestions for things to look up. It will explain in simple terms for you often what is being said. It is the religious that do the scoffing. Stop holding the mirror up and thinking it is us talking to you. The left and right side of politics do exactly what you described, putting labels on people. Same thing for both, just different points of reference is all. Semantics. Far-right conservatives call people like me a pervert, a monster, and an abomination. So yeah, I think by dictionary definitions they are homophobes. But remember, if they were not calling me and acting like I was what they were calling me, I would have no reason to call them homophobes. I do believe that politics would work a lot better if politicians did not vote down party lines, but would vote by what they believe is right for the people. You know, like statesmen are supposed to do? Both sides are guilty of this wrong. That is why I'm on independent. The only ridiculous conclusion is the one that puts God into the equation, and here's why. By the very definition, God is beyond our four-dimensional space. For if God existed in our plane, it would have to have a beginning. You say God has no beginning. Religion says that. So obviously God does not exist in our universe. Since God cannot be proven, at least not by modern scientific means, he does not go into the equations. Where God does belong and fits perfectly well for those that believe God is in the inspiration and imagination of those that do the science. No one scoffs when a scientist says they were praying to God for guidance on a particular problem and the answer came to them. A hypothesis is born. There will be those that might pick on them in that particular part, but if the hypothesis is sound, God will be in the story. Without empirical proof, there is no reason to put God into the equations. Sorry, we tried that. Ever hear of the Dark Ages? Where scientists that couldn't prove how science fits into the Quran or the Bible were killed. Yeah, that is the one of the reasons religion is not allowed into the hollow house of science. Once an hypothesis is disproven, science does not linger upon it unless new evidence is put forth. I think you are confused on this point. Science moves ever forward. Fundamentalists cannot, by their definition, move forward. Science does not explain things more than 100 times or so to those that do not want to listen. Intelligent design? Okay, let me ask you this, Brock. Evidence that cannot be explained by natural means. For you say designer. Fine. Evidence. Where's the evidence? The eye? Explained by natural means. The bacteria flagellum? Explained. The black moth you bring up? Explained. So where is your proof? This leads to the God of the gas fallacy, something that is deadly to faith. When the person of faith puts their faith into something that can be rationally and naturally explained, where does God have to go to next? Nowhere, and that is the problem. God is a matter of inspiration and faith. Faith, by its very definition, is something that cannot be proven. Scientific naturalism explains naturally occurring phenomena. You try to impose scientific naturalism onto the universe. So should we say that some intelligent agency did it? That makes more sense to you? Really? No. Need for proof, like I said, nothing more than faith. That's all intelligent design is. Please try to play the chess game with us, Brock. You may just learn something as soon as you pull your head out of the sand. No, Brock, you say people should trust science. In fact, you do every day, Brock. From the car you drive to the food you eat, you trust science. But science does not play well with fundamentalism. For fundamentalism is the child with the imaginary toys, while science is the kid with the Legos. You're right, you can study science under the premise that things are intelligently designed. Even look for evidence to the same. When these things are explained, then what? For yesterday's belief that God created rainbows. Explained today as refracted light through water particles. Then what? Then you have nowhere to go. Science will one day explain everything within our universe, Brock. If the human race dies off tomorrow, science will continue, just it will not be observed by humans. I leave you with this, Brock. If tomorrow the theory of evolution went away, how would religion prove intelligent design? No, really, how would it explain it? You have to, of course, follow the parameters of peer review, come up with verifiable hypothesis, and why things happen. I believe under these conditions, fundamentalists would have to leave the womb of religion and venture into the wilds of natural universe. Maybe you would come up with an explanation different than evolution, Brock, but I doubt it. Now that is a prop bet I'm willing to take.